The desert did not scream when it killed, it only whispered. A slow, grinding whisper grain. Against bone, time against breath. The wind slid over the dunes like an old predator, patient and disinterested, carrying with it the faint electric scent of ionized dust and the distant hum of a sun too close, too angry, too unforgiving. She was buried to her neck. The sand held her the way a planet holds a corpse without malice, without mercy. Every breath was a negotiation. Every blink cost energy she no longer had. The heat pressed against her skull, crawling beneath the ridged plates of her cranial armor, sinking into the softer tissue beneath. Her vision swam. The sky above her was a bleached, merciless blue, fractured by drifting clouds of metallic dust that shimmered like ghosts. She closed her eyes. It was not dramatic. There was no sobbing, no final prayer. Her species had outgrown those long ago. There was only calculation. Oxygen remaining. Insufficient. Muscle response. Negligible. Extraction. Probability. 0.01%. Acceptable. Margin for death. She let go, and then up. Sound, not the wind. Not the shifting sand. Voiced rough, uneven, wrong. Her eyes snapped open. At first, she thought it was a hallucination neural misfire from dehydration and solar overload. Auditory ghosts were common at the end. Her people had studied that, cataloged it, stripped it of mysticism. Dying minds reach backward. It's not outward. But this voice wasn't calling her name. It was swearing. Damn things not on the maps. If this is another false positive commands gonna, the sound cut off. Replaced by a crunch, footsteps, heavy, clumsy, too loud for a native of this world. Her heart triple-chambered, bio-augmented, stuttered. Humans were extinct. That was not belief. That was data. They had vanished over a century ago, swallowed by wars they had half understood and technologies they had not survived. Their colonies had gone dark one by one, their signals collapsing into static. Their language preserved only in archives and warnings. No human voice should exist here. Her throat burned as she forced sound through it. Here, she croaked. The word scraped its way out. Barely audible even to herself, silence. Then what the hell? Footsteps rushed closer. A shadow fell across her face, sudden and impossible, blocking the sun. She squinted, vision blurring, and saw a shape above Hurtle, angular, wrapped in layered fabric and reflective plating. A helmet tilted downward, visor dark but transparent enough for her to see eyes behind it. Human eyes, brown, bloodshot, alive. Oh my God, the voice whispered. You're alive. Her species had no word for disbelief. Only error states. This was one of them. The human dropped to his knees, hands already moving, brushing sand away from her neck with frantic care. His gloves were worn, patched in places, fingers trembling not from fear, but urgency. Easy, he said, though she had not moved. Don't try to speak. You're dehydrated. Buried compression dam. How long have you been here? She tried to answer, but darkness crept in at the edges of her vision. The sky fractured. The sun multiplied. The last thing she felt before unconsciousness took. Her was the pressure of his hands digging into the sand. Pulling her back toward the world, she woke to shadow. Not the harsh, blinding glare of the desert, but filtered light, timbre and soft passing through layers of translucent material overhead. The air was cooler, carrying the faint scent of recycled oxygen and machine oil. She lay on a surface that responded to her weight, shifting subtly to support her frame. Restraints gentle, adaptive held her limbs in place. More for stabilization than confinement. A shelter human made. Her eyes tracked slowly, taking in the space around her. The interior was compact but functional, walls lined with modular panels and improvised repairs. Cables snaked along the ceiling like exposed veins. A portable fusion cell hummed in the corner, its casing scarred and dented but operational. This was not a military installation. This was survival. Her head turned, and she saw him. The human sat across from her. Back against the far wall, helmet removed and resting at his side. He looked older than she expected, deep lines etched into his face, dark stubble flecked with gray, eyes rimmed with exhaustion. His clothing was a patchwork of old Earth designs and alien materials, scavenged and repurposed. He noticed her movement instantly. "Hey," he said softly, pushing himself to his feet. "Easy, you're safe." "As safe as anyone gets out here?" "Safe." The word resonated strangely. She tested her voice again. This time, it held. "You are human." He blinked. A tired smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "Last I checked," her gaze sharpened. "That is statistically impossible." "Yeah," he said, crouching beside her. "I get that a lot." Silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken questions. Outside, the wind howled, sand battering the shelter's hull like distant rain. She broke it first. "My name," she said slowly, carefully shaping the sounds of his language, "is Ceylon of the 3rd Astral Survey." He nodded. "I'm Elias Ward, independent salvage operator," which is a fancy way of saying I go where the maps stop and hope I don't die. Her mind raced, systems rebooting, priorities rearranging. "Why are you here?" He hesitated. "Looking for ghosts?" That answer carried more truth than he likely intended. The planet designated Kepra-9. In abandoned star charts, was not meant for life. Its orbit hugged its star too closely, bathing the surface in relentless radiation. What atmosphere it retained was thin, metallic, abrasive. Storms could strip flesh from bone in minutes. The sands were laced with nanoscopic crystalline structures that interfered with sensors and chewed through unprotected machinery. And yet, there were ruins, not hers. Not human, older. Ceylon regained strength. Elias explained how he'd found her. His long-range scanner had picked up a biological anomaly, faint, erratic, almost lost in the background noise. He'd nearly ignored it. Almost. "Something told me not to," he said, handing her a hydration tube filled with a mineral-rich solution, adjusted hastily for her biology. "Call it instinct. Or stupidity." She drank slowly, feeling life seep back into her cells. "Instinct is an inefficient decision-making process. Still keeps me alive," he replied. So far, they waited out the worst of the solar cycle in the shelter, listening to the planet rage outside. Ceylon spoke little, conserving energy, observing him in silence. Humans, she remembered from archives, were volatilely motion-driven, unpredictable. But Elias moved with careful deliberation, every action measured, every resource accounted for. Loneliness clung to him like dust. When the storm finally passed, the world outside was transformed. Dunes had shifted, revealing jagged black stone formations beneath an natural geometry cutting through the sand. Structures, her breath caught. "That wasn't there before," Elias murmured. Following her gaze, "It was," she said. "It was merely buried." They ventured out together, protective gear sealed, the desert stretching endlessly around them. Each step was an effort, the ground unstable beneath their boots. Memories surfaced unbidden of her crew, of laughter echoing through sterile corridors, of signals that had gone unanswered. She had come here chasing a mystery. She had lost everything for it. The structure loomed ahead, half exposed now, a vast angular complex fused seamlessly into the bedrock. No visible entrances, no markings. Its surface absorbed light rather than reflecting it, as if the stone itself drank the sun. "This doesn't match any known architecture," Elias said, scanning it, "human or otherwise." Ceylon approached, placing her hand against the surface. It was warm, and it pulsed. The wall rippled beneath her touch, responding, reshaping itself. A seam appeared, then widened, unfolding into a doorway that exhaled a breath of cool, sterile air. The facility had been waiting. Inside, silence reigned. Not emptiness, but absence, heavy and deliberate. The corridors were vast, ceilings arching high above them, illuminated by faint lines of bioluminescent material embedded in the walls. Their footsteps echoed, swallowed by the immensity. They moved slowly, methodically, passing chambers filled with dormant machinery and skeletal frameworks of devices beyond immediate comprehension. Consoles flickered to life as they approached, glyphs and symbols scrolling across displays, reacting to Ceylon's presence. "This place recognizes you," Elia said quietly. "It recognizes my species," she corrected. "Or what remains of it." They found living quarters abandoned yet intact. Personal artifacts lay scattered, crystalline data slates, worn tools, fragments of art. Lives paused mid-motion, never resumed in a central chamber. They discovered the log's holographic projections shimmered into existence, revealing figures tall, luminous beings with elongated forms and shifting patterns of light across their bodies. Not Salone's people, something older. The log spoke of an experiment, a convergence, a last attempt the ancient species had foreseen. Extinction, not through war or catastrophe, but stagnation. They had sought to transcend physical limitation by merging consciousness across species, creating a distributed intelligence capable of adapting endlessly. Humans had been part of it. Ceylon's chest tightened. This is why they vanished. Elias stared at the projections, face pale. They didn't die. They changed. A final log activated, the figure's gaze piercing. "If you are here," it said, voice resonant and calm, "then you are the bridge we could not cross alone." The chamber shifted. A platform rose from the floor, revealing a core of swirling light contained alive. Immense. The intelligence spoke again, now directly into their minds. "We endure. But we are incomplete." It offered them a choice. Join it. Become something more beyond loneliness, beyond death, or walk away, leaving it to fade, forever unfinished. Elias looked at Ceylon, eyes searching. "I've been alone a long time," he said. "Longer than anyone should be." She met his gaze, feeling the weight of millennia press down on her. "So, have I?" she replied. The decision was not made. Lightly, they stepped forward together. The transformation was not pain, it was expansion. Ceylon felt her perceptions stretch outward, her senses intertwining with Elias's, with the vast intelligence waiting within the core. Memories flowed freely, his childhood under Earth's blue skies, her first mission among the stars. Languages dissolved. Barriers fell. They did not lose themselves. They became more when the light dimmed. The facility hummed with renewed energy. Systems long dormant awakened. Signals reaching out across the void beacons of possibility. Outside, in the dark between stars. Something answered, ships turned. Signals returned. Hope uncertain. Fragile flickered back into existence. Ceylon and Elias stood at the threshold of a new beginning. No longer alone, no longer bound by what they had been, the universe, vast and indifferent, had offered them a second voice, and this time it would be heard.